What about the research trajectory? Because the research trajectory, leaving aside the sort of immediate media, as I call it, which is news media, research trajectory in the US, does it reflect some of the positives which seemingly the negative holds in its bosom? Has there been enough of scratching the surface, going deeper in the surface into the soul of Pakistan, as it were?
On balance, no. But there are here and there, they talk about depending on what, but if you're looking at major think tanks inside the Beltway in Washington and other places, the bigger issues that is being focused on is the rise of radicalism in Pakistan, the civil-military divide in Pakistan, the national identity crisis in Pakistan. In the 60, 70 years, we've not been able to define what it is again and again, the nature of a debate that goes on about Pakistan. It's about the fastest growing arsenals on nuclear issues, relations with India. So when we combine all this thing in one pot, the images are not there. And most of the think tanks that are coming on, the premier think tanks, on an average, anything that comes out at the end highlights all these issues and does not give a very cumulatively, a happy picture. And that then runs into congressional debate, the testimonies that goes on there, and then on presidential debate, this year, in 2012, air candidature debates, etc., on the campaign trail will have very little to reflect about Pakistan positive.
Well, that has already showed,
begun.
Through the debates that they've had.
Yeah.
But why is that, George? Who would be researching in your endowment on Pakistan? Who are the people who would understand this country, not necessarily in a complementary way, but in a composite way, in a holistic way? Who are your researchers?
George himself is one.
Well, but I wouldn't.
Without taking anything away from your research.
No, and I don't claim to be an expert on Pakistan. I work on things nuclear and know a fair amount about Pakistan in that domain. I wouldn't claim I'm an expert on Pakistan. We've had different visiting scholars. Hussein Haqqani was a scholar there. He wrote his book. Which, whatever anybody says, I haven't found people actually get in and criticize the text of that book. He was at Carnegie.
2005.
Yeah. We're open to different.
It ends there. Surely, Pakistani academia has names to offer other than Haqqani only. I think Akbar Zaidi is with you these days?
Yeah, he's been working with us as a non-resident. He's not in residence in Washington, but we publish him and he writes papers.
Two names, that's kind of low, isn't it?
It's we can all talk about it.
Why haven't you been contacted?
Well, I was at Brookings. In fact, Ambassador Haqqani and myself, he joined Carnegie a few months before I joined Brookings. There are other names also. Moeed Yusuf is someone who's, regulating the South Asia program at USIP. There is Shuja Nawaz Sawab, who's at the Atlantic Council. There are others also. But there is definitely that problem. But here is a thought experiment of sorts, that India, 1/3 of the total districts of India are part of what is known as the Red Corridor. There's lots of violence there. The rate of the state is very little. There is the 2G spectrum scandal is something, and just the volume of it, everything else pales compared to that, if you juxtapose it with what we've had in Pakistan. There are also terrible problems of governance in India. Lots of political fault lines and socio-economic fault lines. So the question is, why does the world not look at them in the way that they look at us? And here is my sort of tentative thought. If whatever we have, and let's suppose that we had all these crazies going around killing people, but no one had crossed our borders and hurt another state, how would the world have looked at us and our problems then?
That's a very important question, and I take a break on this question, come back and throw it at the rest of the panelists. Why does the world look at other countries with similar problems or problems bigger in magnitude than Pakistan in a different way? Is it because we have been transnational, transcending our borders and sending strange people across borders, or is it because the world has a peculiar view of Pakistan? Stay tuned after this break.